Recently, news surfaced regarding Harry and Meghan's ambition to ascend to the presidency of the Commonwealth following the monarch's passing. Their upcoming visit to Nigeria is shrouded in speculation, with many details hinting at their strategic maneuvers to assert dominance over this international association. Join me as I delve deeper into this matter on my YouTube channel, Royal 365. The invitation extended to Harry and Meghan for a royal tour in Nigeria raised eyebrows, especially as the couple sought full funding from the Nigerian government, including security expenses. Given the widely acknowledged corruption within the Nigerian government, it appears that Harry and Meghan intend to capitalize on this trip for personal gain. Moreover, their ultimate goal of securing the Commonwealth presidency posthumously suggests a meticulously crafted scheme by this cunning duo. However, as an immigrant hailing from a Commonwealth nation, I can confidently assert that their misguided scheme is destined to fail. In many Commonwealth countries, racial identity holds little significance. While colonialism remains a dark chapter in history, countries like India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan boast diverse populations ranging across various skin tones. The antiquated notion of racial categorization fails to resonate in these societies, where individuals are valued based on their contributions rather than their melanin levels. Furthermore, the Western perspective tends to homogenize the rich tapestry of African cultures, overlooking the intricate diversity of tribes, languages, and traditions. Upon immigrating to the West, individuals bring with them millennia of heritage and identity, only to be reduced to a monolithic people of color category. This oversimplification neglects the nuanced complexities of African heritage and perpetuates a distorted narrative. Many former Commonwealth nations have transcended the colonial mindset, embracing their cultural heritage with pride. With access to social media and the internet, these nations have debunked the myth of Western superiority and reclaimed their autonomy. The era of deference to colonial masters has long passed, replaced by a renewed sense of self-worth and cultural appreciation. If Meghan attempts to propagate Western notions of race as a basis for her candidacy, she will find herself sorely mistaken. Such concepts hold weight in the West, but their relevance diminishes outside those borders. From what I've observed within my social circle, our focus lies in assessing tangible benefits rather than subscribing to a westernized worldview. While acknowledging the realities of the Western mindset, it's essential not to discredit those who have deep-rooted connections to this land. Despite Meghan's unfounded accusations of racism within the royal family, the Commonwealth's disapproval extends beyond her grievances to encompass Harry and Meghan as well. I must emphasize that Meghan and Harry's aspirations to assume the presidency of the Commonwealth are utterly unattainable. The disdain harbored by the majority of individuals I encounter towards the couple remains palpable, stemming from their disrespectful treatment of the beloved late Queen. Even if they endeavor to curry favor with Prince William in the future, securing the Commonwealth's endorsement seems implausible. Considering the ceremonial nature of the position they covet, I am perplexed as to how the couple intends to capitalize on it. Perhaps they envision themselves as nuisances sizable enough to warrant payment for removal, akin to metaphorical hemorrhoids. It would be poetic justice if a Nigerian couple depleted the Harkles' finances, leaving them stranded with minimal resources. Yet, what perplexes me more is their eagerness to partake in transactions, and why limit themselves to Nigeria. What assets do they bring to the table? Are they arms dealers, traffickers, oil magnates, clothing tycoons, or automobile manufacturers? None of the above. They are mere opportunists, lacking in substance or significant influence. The Harkles are insignificant figures, barely registering on anyone's radar. Contrastingly, when William visited for Earthshot last year, he left a lasting impression and garnered widespread acclaim. The memory of the late Queen, Philip, and Diana is cherished by the older generation, while Anne, William, and Catherine have also graced us with their presence during official state visits. Harry's fleeting appearance for a private polo match went unnoticed by the majority, as polo holds little relevance in our society, being deemed an antiquated pursuit favored by the elite. Meghan remains largely unrecognized by the average citizen, hardly a recognizable figure in our midst. While Commonwealth membership now carries mainly ceremonial significance, the prospect of being represented by such lackluster individuals is far from appealing. Moreover, in the absence of a monarch assuming the role of head of state, the Prince of Wales emerges as the next plausible candidate, with young and charismatic George poised to assume the mantle in the coming decades. George's potential future consort, equally charismatic and appealing, adds to the allure of this prospect, promising a dynamic leadership that resonates with the populace. Should a royal figure fail to secure the position, a highly esteemed elder statesperson from within the Commonwealth would emerge as the natural successor. This role demands gravitas and respect, attributes sorely lacking in the likes of random influencers from Montecito, whose relevance pales in comparison to the stature required for such a prestigious role. Furthermore, the Commonwealth's evolution extends beyond its former colonial boundaries, attracting non-former colonies and expanding into a global economic and cultural union. Given this broader scope, member states would be unlikely to entrust Harry and Meghan with leadership roles, opting instead for seasoned political figures akin to those appointed within the EU. The notion of someone residing in America and being married to an American assuming leadership of the Commonwealth is unfathomable. The primary criterion for such a role would logically entail hailing from a Commonwealth nation and embodying its values, rather than viewing it through the lens of colonial nostalgia, as Harry and Meghan mistakenly suggested in their documentary. While this may align with the Harkle's penchant for delusion, their aspirations are bound to falter, much like their previous endeavors. Moreover, Commonwealth countries outside the realms boast their own heads of state, rendering the likelihood of Harry or Meghan securing such positions as slim as Meghan being crowned Queen of the UK. Even if by some remote chance Meghan were to ascend, her role would lack substantive decision-making power until William's reign, leaving her with little to offer Commonwealth nations beyond symbolic gestures. As non-working royals, Harry and Meghan hold no sway within the UK or any other government, rendering them mere figureheads devoid of political influence. Their precarious position leaves them vulnerable to exploitation, as evidenced by the recent scandals surrounding Prince Andrew. In essence, their puppetry will inevitably lead to a downfall, illustrating the perils of aspiring beyond one's means. In essence, Nigeria operates as a kleptocracy where personal gain trumps national interests. Rather than pondering Nigeria's expectations from the impending visit, the focus shifts to how the Minister of Defense stands to profit personally. The visit's expenses provide ample opportunities for diversion, or it serves as a PR campaign, allowing the minister to bask in the limelight with carefully curated photo opportunities. It wouldn't be surprising if the images circulated within Nigeria differ vastly from those promoted by Harry and Meghan's media affiliates, as Meghan meticulously selects photos to bolster her PR image. What's even more unsettling is Meghan's relentless campaign to undermine Catherine. One can only wish for robust psychic defenses against the malevolent influence Meghan wields. Many of us fervently hope for King Charles III to reign for at least a decade, allowing Catherine to recover fully and continue inspiring us as a devoted mother to her children and a supportive wife to William. However, the prospect of Meghan assuming power is deeply unsettling. It's conceivable that they might attempt to reframe their agenda as a progressive stance against racism, conveniently disregarding Meghan's biracial heritage. Their propensity for self-contradiction knows no bounds, rendering their Empire 2.0 aspirations not entirely implausible. In their delusion, Harry and Meghan envision themselves as the Emperor and Empress of Empire 2.0, relishing in public adoration and lavish perks. They perceive themselves as the avant-garde leaders, revolutionizing the Commonwealth to their liking. Yet, if their daydream were to materialize, the repercussions could be catastrophic, potentially leading to the collapse of the Commonwealth. The mere thought sends shivers down my spine. In conclusion, the notion of Harry and Meghan assuming leadership roles within the Commonwealth is utterly implausible. It baffles me what could have prompted them to entertain such a misguided plan for domination. Even if they were to pursue this agenda, I am confident that the people of the Commonwealth would vehemently oppose it, ultimately compelling Harry and Meghan to retreat from their ambitions. Moving on, I have another intriguing piece of information concerning Prince Harry, further highlighting the lack of support for the couple in various quarters. But before delving into that, how's the weather in your area these days? Here, temperatures are steadily rising, heralding the arrival of numerous summer events. Among them, the one I eagerly anticipate is the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games, founded by Prince Harry. However, the preparations for this milestone event seem to be fraught with challenges, particularly regarding Harry's security concerns, as the anniversary is slated to be held in England. Now, let's briefly discuss the Invictus Games. This international multi-sport event was inaugurated by Harry in 2014 and has since become an annual fixture. As the event approaches its 10th year, celebrations are scheduled to take place at St. Paul's Cathedral in London next May. According to reports from The Express, Harry and Meghan Markle are listed as guests on the official running order, with the Duke of Sussex scheduled to deliver a speech. Unfortunately, Harry's recent controversies surrounding his relocation from the UK to the US have cast a shadow over the proceedings, complicating matters for him. From what I gather, Harry remains committed to attending the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games despite lingering security concerns. However, it's probable that he'll have to participate remotely if his plans fail to align with the prescribed security arrangements. On a related note, let's examine the significance of the venue chosen for this ceremony, St. Paul's Cathedral. While it's true that St. Paul's can be rented out for events, Harry likely proposed this location to maintain a regal appearance. In his convoluted mindset, perhaps he speculated on the optics of William and Catherine's absence, hoping to cast them in a negative light by comparison. In truth, they would be admired for steering clear of such opportunistic maneuvers. Furthermore, Harry's paranoia regarding security risks seems misplaced, especially considering the presence of military personnel at the event. Nevertheless, his security team must ensure that both the Metropolitan Police and his own security protocols guarantee his safety while in London. This cautious approach underscores the extent to which Harry's trips to the UK hinge on security considerations. His inflated sense of self-importance knows no bounds. Despite expressing a desire to spend more time in the UK with his family, Harry's security concerns cast a shadow over any such plans. It's evident that his constant lamentations about security are part of a futile power play, one in which he repeatedly finds himself on the losing end. However, one wonders if beneath his facade of entitlement lies a genuine belief in his own perpetual danger. Could we soon witness him retreating further into seclusion, perhaps even resorting to extreme measures like confinement to his home? I can't help but entertain the notion that Harry secretly yearns for some form of incident, not fatal but attention-grabbing enough to feed his victim narrative. His penchant for garnering sympathy through whining and self-pity is unmistakable. And his partner seems equally eager to exploit any minor mishap, blowing it out of proportion to fulfill her own victim cosplay fantasies. Are they truly expecting widespread heartbreak over his potential absence from events, when in reality his paranoia and sense of entitlement overshadow any genuine concern for his well-being? This isn't paranoia, it's sheer entitlement at play. While Harry readily ventures to places like Kingston without hesitation, the prospect of attending an event in London, particularly at St. Paul's Cathedral, suddenly becomes too risky for the prince. Should he choose to cancel, he risks being labeled the epitome of wastefulness. The truth is, his security arrangements remain unchanged since the event was booked. It's becoming increasingly apparent that his public displays of discontent serve primarily to keep himself in the spotlight, a tiresome game of manipulation played out every time an event looms on the UK horizon. Personally, I find this childish charade exhausting and utterly devoid of merit. Another aspect to consider is Harry's inability to leave the US due to his visa status. His A1 visa has reportedly been downgraded to a 3, requiring him to reapply for entry into the country. Some speculate that this could be a tactic to avoid UK taxes by limiting his time spent within the Commonwealth. It's astonishing how someone with no direct impact on my life can evoke such strong emotions within me. In my view, Harry has painted himself into a corner with his legal battle against the Home Office. If he were to return to the UK under adequate protection, it would undermine his appeal challenging the decision regarding his security arrangements. While he may be physically shielded, the prospect of facing public criticism likely weighs heavily on his mind. Thus, by citing safety concerns, he can simultaneously prolong his appeal and shield himself from public scrutiny. Moreover, it's ludicrous to hear such safety concerns from a man who once enlisted to serve and protect his country. His current priorities appear to revolve around financial gain and clinging to his wife's influence. It's worth noting his time in the military, where he earned the nickname Bunker Harry, requiring additional security personnel to be assigned to him at the expense of regular duties. In retrospect, his military service seems more of a liability than an asset. Furthermore, it's evident that the Invictus Games serve as a tool for garnering publicity and exerting leverage to fulfill their desires. If Harry fails to show up in person, I hope the Invictus Games organization takes a stand and removes him as a patron, signaling a clear rejection of his manipulative tactics. It's quite possible that Harry overlooked a crucial aspect in this situation. Could it be that there's a negotiated agreement between William and Harry regarding his attendance at the Invictus Games service? As the founder of the Invictus Games, it would seem odd if a member of the royal family, such as William, were not present at the ceremony. Perhaps a compromise akin to the Diana Legacy Award arrangement, where William appears in person while Harry participates via Zoom, could be in the works. Moreover, Harry's concern about security raises eyebrows, especially considering the presence of Invictus participants who have sacrificed their bodies in service to their countries. Surely among these courageous individuals, there would be ample protection for Harry. However, it's worth noting that Harry is required to provide a 30-day advance notice for any trip to the UK, a protocol he may have neglected or assumed would be unnecessary given his ongoing legal proceedings. In any case, his arrival wouldn't garner the fanfare he anticipates, prompting him to save face by opting out of attending. Should Harry be relegated to a virtual appearance at the Invictus service, it wouldn't be out of place. His exaggerated concerns about safety in London seem unfounded, given his consistent travels with his own security detail without incident. It appears that Harry seeks validation through the perceived importance conveyed by British VIP protection. One can't help but wonder if Harry's purported security fears stem from a fear of his dwindling popularity, perhaps fueled by recent polling data. It's conceivable that he's using security as a convenient excuse to avoid situations he finds uncomfortable. However, Harry should tread carefully with his security demands regarding the Invictus Games, as pushing too far may prompt organizers to call his bluff, especially since he's threatening non-attendance in person. It's a valid point you bring up about organizing the event in locations where Harry is guaranteed security. Places like Canada, California, or Germany would certainly offer a more controlled environment. However, it seems that Harry's desire for the Games to be held in England stems from a deeper motive, perhaps driven by a need to assert his presence and influence within his home country, despite the associated security risks. His persistent complaints about security are indeed growing tiresome, especially when his own actions may be contributing to any perceived threats. In essence, Harry appears to harbor irrational fears, particularly regarding the nation where he has deep roots and a complex history. It's perplexing to ponder what exactly fuels his apprehensions about a place where he was conceived, raised, and experienced both privilege and hardship. Perhaps his anxieties stem from a sense of insecurity or perceived threats to his reputation and status within British society. Overall, Harry's fixation on security and his seemingly contradictory behavior regarding privacy and public attention suggest a deeper psychological struggle. It's clear that he grapples with a complex relationship with his homeland and his own identity within the context of the royal family. He, the proclaimed humanitarian environmentalist, jets around the world at the expense of others, visiting various nations without concern for the associated dangers or security measures provided. Does he imply that countries like France, Germany, Japan, Jamaica, and others readily comply with his security demands due to his royal connections? Let's consider this from a different perspective. Is he afraid of the British fans of the royal family? Perhaps he frets over the potential exposure of his children to the intrusive clicks and flashes of cameras if they were to accompany him to the UK. Or could it be that his partner, the paranoid Diana Spencer and Julia Roberts emulating cosplayer, is scratching herself in desperation at the mere thought? Regardless, their deck of cards seems depleted, with no viable options left to play. The prodigal son card won't suffice, nor will the children race or security cards. The UK is not his personal playground, nor is it intended for the fleecing of taxpayer funds. His recent hurried visit to see the king failed to yield the desired outcome and only fueled rumors of seeking assistance with his visa issues, residency status, and a potential path back into the family's favor. If this wasn't the case, why the sudden change in his residency status? Now, the Invictus Games in Germany are gaining momentum, and I believe it's high time for people and events to stand up to him. As we conclude, I trust that the information I've provided has been insightful for you. Your opinions are highly valued as they enrich our discussions and offer diverse perspectives. Thank you for tuning in, greetings, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos on the Royal 365 YouTube channel. In conclusion, I firmly believe that Harry and Meghan's aspirations to dominate the Commonwealth are utterly unattainable. Their incompetence, negligence, and laziness render them unsuitable for such positions. No one would support their bid to become king and queen. Both should reflect on their actions and feel ashamed. Even Harry, who incessantly fixates on security despite being 40 years old, is no longer a child in need of protection. If he continues this obsession, his ambitions to dominate the world stage will inevitably crumble. I stand by this assertion.